Hi, I'm Rocco Stano, and welcome to StoryMakers. Today we have Terry Catasús Jennings, who's going to be telling us about her book, The Little House of Hope. But the book's also in Spanish, so that title is La Casita de Esperanza. Welcome to KidLit TV.
Thank you, Rocco. I am delighted to be here so I can share my book.
Tell us about the book.
The book is about immigrants. It's about a family that came from Cuba to the United States and finds a home where they can afford to live. It's an old home. It smells like old wet socks, and they furnish it with couches and tables from a church basement, free stuff. But they make it shine and they make it their own. But then when another immigrant family and other immigrant families come, they see them, and they find out that these people need a place to stay. Well, the family just scrunches up in the house and makes room for the newcomers and allows them to get a leg up, to be able to maybe get a job, to save a little bit of money, and to get their papers.
Get their papers. What does get their papers mean?
Getting their papers means that they have permission to be in the United States, that they are legal. It is an actual piece of paper. It could be a green card. It could be a certificate of residency. It could be citizenship papers. But they are papers that allow that person to be in the United States, and then they cannot be sent back.
There's so many fun facts in this book, and you mentioned café con leche. What is that?
Café con leche is what I had for breakfast every morning, along with buttered toast. And I think café con leche is something that most Cubans have for breakfast. And it's warm milk or hot milk with a shot of coffee in it.
Sofrito, what is that?
To me, sofrito means home. Sofrito is another food. It's the kind of food that jumpstarts just about all Latin dishes. And also it came from Spain. A lot of Spanish dishes start with that. It's onions and garlic and pepper, all of them sauteed in oil until they're soft. And they smell so wonderful. Whenever I'm cooking and I do sofrito, I'm thinking, man, that's just like home.
And what other? Plantains.
I have an example that I can show you. Here are plantains. So they're big bananas, obviously you can tell. What you do with those big bananas is you cut them, you slice them, but first you have to wait until they're really ripe and really old and really black. So then they're soft. And when you slice them and you cook them in butter, then they are so delicious because they're sugary and caramelized. And you know what? I have to say that plantains are my all-time favorite dish.
There's a backstory to the book. It's semi-autobiographical. Can you tell us about that?
People think that you come to the United States, that immigrants come to the United States to get a better life, to get a good job, because they just like being here. But really, it's not always that kind of a story. And I wanted to tell the story of what happened to my family because it's very much like what happens to a lot of people. So what happened to our family is that my dad was put in jail in Cuba. He wasn't a thief. He wasn't a murderer. He wasn't even fighting against the government. He just got put in jail. And for 3 days, we didn't know where he was. We didn't even know whether he was alive or not. When he was freed, all my family wanted to do was leave, get out of town, get out of Cuba, because we didn't want that to happen ever again. We tried to go to Spain. We tried to go to Mexico. We put in applications in Brazil and in the United States. And just happily, the United States was the one that said yes first. My aunt and uncle already lived in the United States, and they opened up their house to us. And it turned out that there were like 12 people living in the house most of the time. My aunt and uncle and their 3 kids, my mom and dad, my brother and I, and then my aunt's brother, his wife, and pretty soon their baby all lived in the garage. We made room in the garage for them. But nobody minded doing all this because we were all together and we were safe. We didn't have to worry.
That certainly sounds like a very busy house.
It was absolutely busy, but absolutely happy.
The book has beautiful illustrations from Raúl Colón. I'm sure you must have a favorite or two.
I'm going to give you more than one favorite because there's just too much. Raúl is a superstar. Here is the cover. And I think the cover is so amazing because how can you go by this cover and not open the book? It is so happy. It is absolutely perfect. Now, the last page, the page in which they are talking about the fact that they now have found a new home in a new country, is a perfect illustration because it does show that they found a home, they have friends, they have a grill, they're having a party. It looks like they actually have found a new home. So Raúl interpreted the words that I came up with in such a beautiful way. But now I have to tell you one more secret. The picture of the dad is just like my dad. It reminds me so much of my dad. And Raúl never knew about it. He never met him. He never got any pictures. But it was just so perfect.
That is very special. In the book, you mention all the various families and people that come to stay in the house, but they all come at different times. You get to welcome them, and the character in your book, Esperanza, welcomes them in a special way.
Esperanza made a collage, and the collage Esperanza means hope. And so in her collage, she puts the name Hope and she puts the name Esperanza, and that is what they found in their new home. Well, when other families come and stay with them, Esperanza makes a collage for each one of them to show them that they now have hope.
Why don't we take a lead from you and Esperanza and create a welcome collage? And our viewers can do the same. So Terry, what would your collage look like?
Oh, well here, let me show you. I just happened to make one. Here is what my collage would look like. Because it's very much like Esperanza's. It has my old home, Cuba. It has my new home, the United States. And it has hope and it has home. And then here's what was important to me in Cuba, my family. And here's what's important to me now, my family, right? All my grandkids. So yeah, this is very much like what Esperanza did. But this is my take on hope and home.
I made a collage also, and I'm going to share it with you. This is mine, and it has a big welcome. And then in the center, there are two symbols for welcome. One is a wreath. People put wreaths on their doors, and that's a sign of welcome. Another sign of welcome, especially in the southern part of the United States, is a pineapple. So I have a pineapple there. And what better way to welcome people but with food? So I have some food, and pets are always welcome. So I have our dog there welcoming people, and then there's a game that people can play. So this is my welcome collage.
Oh, Rocco, that's great.
Terry, thank you so much for being a guest in our Casita.
Thank you so much.
Remember, until next time, read a book in any format